Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hey, how you doing, my little sweetness?
I'm doing great. I was listening to the radio station the other day, and they had an interesting topic that I think we can expound on. Words that your parents said to you that affected you. So I can go first. I have a funny story.
Yeah.
I used to visit.
It better make me look good.
Oh no, it's not about you. It's about Tati.
Okay.
Don't
talk about the dead. They might come back to haunt you.
That's fine. I don't mind the visitation. So I remember I was in fifth grade, and I just started meeting up with this new kid. Not new kid, but like I just started making friends with this guy, and it was every Shabbos I was coming over his house, and every Shabbos I'd go to his house. Then at one point, before I went over to his house, Tati came up to me and said, "Remember, Sadia, you don't want to wear out your welcome." And and ever since and after that, like I kind of just it stuck with me where I'm like, I guess I shouldn't show up to his house. So I kind of like slowly stopped hanging out with him and stopped, going over his house. But that was just a funny story that like I thought that would be a little thing to talk about.
It's interesting how like little things that people can say, teeny little things, innocent little things can can affect us in ways that we're sometimes not even aware of. Let's say like a boy and girl are dating. We hear this all the time. And we've all been through this where we think this person is really great and we're having a great time with them and we love dating them and going out with them. And all it takes is one troublemaker to point out something about that person. Maybe his ears are big or his nose is big or whatever, or something little and stupid. And for some reason we pick up on that germ and it like totally turns us off to this individual.
Little earworm.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Yep. So what about anything that your parents like said, like just out of like a little piece of advice, or maybe like something that like, they said in passing that stuck with you forever?
All I know is that I was raised on a steady diet of you're no good, you're never going to be any good.
Okay, but can you think of anything specific?
That was pretty specific.
Yeah.
Of course, when I got older, I answered my mother back by telling her, "Well, thank God, in such a changing world, some things still stay the same."
Oh, okay. I guess on a different topic, switching topics, what kind of useless?
I want to talk about the hard time I'm having with the computer, like computer and taxes, computer technology and taxes, and Pesach cleaning. How they both hit at the same time.
Oh yes. It sounds very, very stressful. Yeah.
Well, you know me with my computer acumen. I mean, I'm among the technologically challenged, and so our computer, was horrible to deal with. It was totally on the blink, and so I took it and had it fixed. It's all fixed, and so I picture myself. Okay, this is going to be easy. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to press my my icon for my email. It should go right to my email, and then I can download these documents that I have to document and download them and print them out, the PDFs and all that, and just put them in the mail, send them to the tax preparer, right? Wrong. We know this thing can't go too quick. We know my schlemazel that when it comes to technology, these things can never just go easy for me. I press the icon and I get this pop up. I am not connected to the internet. What do you mean I'm not connected to the internet? So it says, check your plugs. I check all my plugs. Everything's plugged in. So it said, what do you want as your default browser? So I pressed I don't even know what that means, but I pressed, Google Chrome, whatever. And it said, that I had to do something to set up and sign in. I don't know how to sign into this thing.
Okay. All right. That's nice.
So besides, but what I can't get over is, on one hand, we're doing Pesach cleaning. We're cleaning out our cabinets, and the federal government is cleaning us out.
Are you turning your house into a spaceship?
What's that?
It's where you
What's the
wrap the
what's the
entire house
punchline to that?
in tinfoil.
No, I don't do that anymore. I
Oh
haven't done that
wow.
since we moved from Baltimore.
No, what are you talking about? I was by Pesach, I think last year. I saw everything
Uh-huh.
aluminum foil.
Well, I this time what I did was instead of doing the walls,
Yeah.
which is what we used to do in our kitchen,
Oh my
like you
gosh.
said, a spaceship.
The
Um,
spaceship.
I just wiped down the walls. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I wiped down the granite, the countertops, and also um, we have those tiles that are behind all our cooking areas. I
Hmm.
wiped down those tiles. What I did was I um, put hot water over the countertops, and you take an iron after you put the hot water on the countertops and you iron them down the granite, and then I just put silver foil over the countertops, and then I take those disposable tablecloths that people use to cover their tables on Shabbos and Yom Tov, and I put a series of those down all over the countertops. But now the stoves we always had gas stove. Actually,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Our observance of Pesach had a whole evolution. Like when
Oh
your father
yeah.
and I first got married, he would not permit me to use the ovens or the stove tops. Even though you could kosher them, he didn't hold by that. So we had all these electronic gizmos that after a year or two would burn out and we'd have to buy new ones. Well, finally, your father came to the point where he realized, hey, we can kosher our ovens, we can kosher our stove tops if they're gas, just clean the top really well and cover it with aluminum foil and just run the put the fires on and have the fires, just burning the what is that? The part that goes over the fire where you put the pot on top of it. Grail, I
The
don't know.
blech. You say the blech,
No,
right?
not the blech. No, it's the parts of the stove tops that go over the fire. They're iron. They go over the fire, and then you put your pots on top of them.
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot
that's like
what
a
they're called.
that's like a grill. That's
Grill,
usually a
grill,
grill. I think a
yeah.
grill. I think a grill.
But
I could be
anyway,
wrong.
so all you have to do is you just put those and like you just kosher parts of those one after the other by putting it on the fire, and then your stovetop is kosher. So your father finally came to that point where we did that, and then he
Yeah.
also came to the point where your father were first married where he would not hold by using sugar,
Oh, it's
and
processed.
then
That's why.
yeah, and then eventually he changed so that we eventually decided to start using sugar on Pesach, Pesach like a sugar. Well, we moved here to Florida and our stove tops, everything's electric in the community where we live now. So of course, I kosher the ovens by putting it on the clean cycle for 4 hours, and the tops you just have to turn on the burners now and make sure your glass top is cleaned very very well.
Yeah.
Now, one of our friends, when he first moved to Florida, didn't know that you don't put aluminum foil on top of a glass stovetop where you have electric, or it's going to cause the glass stovetop to shatter.
Oh God.
And that's exactly what he did.
Oh jeez.
So I'm glad I found out about that in time before I did that. But someone told me even with koshering the burners, like turning them up to the highest temperature, you
Yeah.
should still put a quarter on every on every burner on top of each
So
burner,
it doesn't rest
so that
exactly on it.
right, exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that takes a balancing act.
But did your parents do anything for Pesach?
My mother changed dishes. My mother of course wiped down the kitchen. She kept Pesach, and she kept Pesach, and got rid of all the chametz in the house, and
What, what was
but
your?
she used matzah. We don't get brachs, of course. In Chabad, we don't get brachs.
Yes.
But of
Yes.
course, she being she gebracht. I mean, she's matzah meal and everything. I remember these. We call them the bulkis. Bulkis are like rolls that my bubby used to make using matzah meal.
Ah,
They tasted horrible, but something, it was almost the only game in town if you were hungry. Pesach
exactly.
is, it's interesting what happens Pesach with our taste buds. For some reason, our taste buds change on Pesach.
Yeah.
And it's like we are happier with God's simple food on Pesach, like, the potato starch cakes
Oh my
and
gosh.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. But the funny thing is, if somebody were to give you this same food, like a potato starch cake, any other time of the year, you would go, you got to be kidding me.
So out of curiosity, as a kid, do you have any like fond memories of Pesach of what you would do at the Seder and things like that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. I remember when I was very little and my Zadie was still living. This is when my Zadie died when I was 8 years old. But when I was very, very little, I remember the whole family getting together. I mean, the entire family getting together for the Sidurim. I remember, though, they had a kids' table. And, it's, in a way, it really wasn't smart of them to have a kids' table. It really wasn't, because I didn't really feel included in the Seder. And they would read the Haggadah up to the Shulchan Aruch and up to the meal. And then that was it. Then they would have the meal and that would be it. And the stuff that came afterwards, like what we do now as more educated Jews, the Hallel and the and the songs at the end. Oh, we never did that. Maybe we sang Dayenu, but that was about it. And then after my Zadie passed away, for some reason the family stopped getting together like they used to. And I remember my father. He said his father, his parents weren't particularly religious, and he never remembered he remembers his father trying to make a Seder once. And my father said that he and his brother, of course, being children, started, fooling around. And his father just gave up and never tried again. So my father said that now that the family kind of stopped getting together. And my father decided that he's gonna make a Seder. And he used our Haggadahs that we got in Hebrew school. It was anyone who went to Bet Tefillah Hebrew school during the 50s and 60s remembers this. It was really good. This children's Haggadah, very, very big print. It was red and yellow.
Yes, I got that as a kid as well.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked that very much. And everything was spelled out very, very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my father putting the Seder together, and he really kept our attention. He joked around, and I remember sitting there laughing, and he really did a great job. Like he said, he would open up the Haggadah, and he would say, okay, he said, break the middle matzah, and he'd do a karate chop, okay, the middle matzah is broken. Show it to the company. He picks it up and he puts it under our noses, like waves it around the table. Goes, now hide the middle. Yeah, I put it in the, put it back in the, put it here, and he would and we went through it. But the interesting thing was the same thing though, was that we also didn't do the entire Seder. We did up to the meal, and then had the meal, and after the meal, that was it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I became religious that I actually was totally acquainted with what an entire Seder was about, of actually reading through everything and doing the whole Haggadah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I remember as a kid, I enjoyed, it was always uncomfortable, but we would have the couches and comfy chairs at the table, and I would sit down, and the table would be at my eyes, and I couldn't properly sit, and when I would lean, like the grape juice would spill all over me, and I'd just be wet and sticky and trying to do everything. And then by the time it was even like barely the meal, I was exhausted. I would just crack out and go to sleep on the couch.
I know. Well, when your brothers and sisters were babies and you were a baby, I remember many times having to just, leave the table to go to take you upstairs or take you, one of whoever was the then baby upstairs and take care of the baby and come back down to the Seder and pick up the Haggadah and try as best as I could just to race through it in English to try to catch up.
Yeah. So what about, did you guys do the Afikomen then?
Okay, I like the way my father did the Afikomen.
Okay.
The way that my father, a lot of people, the so-called, well, Chabad never did it this way, but a lot
Different
of groups
people, different people.
Yeah, have the custom of the kids actually clandestinely stealing the Afikomen and then hiding it somewhere and then not giving it back till they're promised a gift of some
Yeah.
sort. My parents never did it that way. The way that my father did it was like playing a game of hide and go seek. We would hide our eyes, and my father would take the Afikomen and he would hide it someplace in the house. And after he would come back and say, okay, time to find, now you can go find it. And we all would go all over the house and till we found the Afikomen. Now, what usually happened by your father was he would, same thing, he would hide the Afikomen. And by the time it was time to eat the Afikomen, we were totally exhausted. And your father, it was kind of like, we kind of forgot where it was.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. So
or sometimes I would say sometimes the kids would hide it. I know the way.
Yeah.
The way it would work when I was growing up is I think the older siblings would hide the Afikomen and we'd look for it. I think one year it was my turn to hide the Afikomen, and I hid the Afikomen underneath your pillow in your bed. And no one knew where it was. And I forgot to tell you. I don't know what happened, whatever it was. And you went to go to sleep and you heard a crunch. You're like, oh, found the Afikomen.
Well, I remember there were some years where we found the Afikomen a year later cleaning for Pesach.
Oh God. Well, it's funny. It's funny because like there of course is like panic to find matzah. Like that's the biggest thing, Erev Pesach, finding matzah. And Ruthie and I had that panic like I think last year. And then what happened was we got a lot of free matzah afterwards, and it was good, high quality shmur matzah. And the kicker is that they're in aluminum sealed containers, so they're staying fresh. I just opened up one like recently, and it tasted fresh, like as if you just took it out of the oven.
Oh my gosh, where did you get them that had aluminum containers?
They're called Bashmiras Hamatzah, Kapiot Matzah, Mapiot Matzah, Shmor Avodas Yad. I think that's that. That's just the quality, but that's the title of the Shmor Matzah. This is a high quality Shmor Matzah, but like we got a bunch of free, tons of them, and I have like tons of them like in like being preserved right now. I'm going to use it probably this year, if not next year, like whatever. Like this stuff lasts forever. You know.
And I've been going through my cabinets, and I have like 4 boxes of shmur matzah that I don't know how old it is, but it's never never used.
Use it,
and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring it over to. I'm just going to take all 4 boxes and just bring it right over to the Seder.
Yeah.
And to say, here, everybody,
Yeah, chow down, enjoy.
Those who are hungry, come and eat. And you can bite into the thing. I mean, it's probably as hard as a rock now.
If they're thin, it's fine. Once they're thick, that could be an issue. But the thick ones are the problem. This is thick, thin matzah tastes like really, really good. So before we head off, I have a question for you. What is your useless talent?
God, that's hysterical. Where do you get these questions?
From the top of my head.
No, that's not true. You're lying. Where do you get these questions? Come on.
If I give over my sources, I can't, You
don't have any sources. What do you look them up on the internet? Useless questions? I got to hear about that.
Quit avoiding the question. Give me an answer.
Useless talent?
Yeah.
Nobody has a useless talent.
Like I could do silly voices.
All of our talents are God given to us for a reason.
So what is your useless talent, Ima?
There is no useless talent. There's no such thing as a useless
Okay, I'll
talent.
wait for you to get off that soapbox of yours and answer the
There is
question.
no such thing as a useless talent. What useless
Woman, I
talent?
asked you.
Leave my cousin out of this.
I asked you a question. Useless
Let me
talent.
think. Useless talent. Useless talent. What can I do? Useless talent. Useless talent. Trying to think. Useless talent. Useless talent. I can't think of any. I can't think of any.
Can you do like impressions? Can you do, you know, a thing that you can do with your fingers? I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
Yeah, I can make spitballs. Yeah, useless talent. I used to be able to make a really high pitched like mouse sound with my voice. I don't know if I can do it anymore. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's perfect. That is perfect. Wonderful, useless talent. Thank you so much, Ema. I appreciate it. And thank you, listeners, for understanding and listening to me and my mother's rambles. All right. I love you, Ema. Have a good Shabbos.
Love you, honey. Have a great Shabbos. Love you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I know you would like it, and my mother would too.